is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show, where we have 10 games on tap. First Friday slate of the year. James, we have some exciting NBA going on Thursday night. Celtics won in a blowout over the Wizards. That was expected. Mavericks won in a blowout over the Spurs. Maybe less expected, but they were 8.5-point favorites there.
Sure.
And now, as we are recording, we got the 10 p.m. games starting to kick off. So we have the Kings and the Timberwolves. We have the Thunder and the Nuggets going on. So definitely two exciting, fun games to watch. Potential playoff previews down the line. But we have a 10-game slate. We had a big slate on Wednesday, and it was a bit nightmarish in a sense of rotations for some teams.
Guess what? They're back.
Coaches going 10, 11, 12 deep.
Yep.
We already have injury news for players being ruled out. We have injury news for players being questionable already for the slate. So you are on the playbook. I am not envious of that situation given the slate. I had to deal with it on Wednesday, but it is the NBA. It's the struggles that we have covering this sport. At any point in time in the day, will someone be questionable, ruled in, or ruled out? So
it's a great way to say it, because it's true. I mean, there is nobody safe at any time, right? DeJounte Murray finished the game with a fractured hand. I mean, and then the next day there's sorry, out indefinitely, almost had a triple double, but he can't play anymore. So anyone can get sick or hurt or whatever. At any point in the day in the NBA. And it is, and we've talked about it now on a couple slates, right? We did talk about the Spurs. Their minutes were very limited even before the blowout happened. Nobody was really going to play big minutes. And we're going to have to monitor that, at least for the first week of the season. Mm-hmm. We have the three teams that we were talking about the other day on the slate. We have the Warriors. They're on the slate. Now, maybe they only can play 10 players because two of them are listed questionable, and Steph Curry, Draymond Green. But maybe Steve Kerr will also just use the 13th and 14th guys off the bench, right, to fill the void. We have the Memphis Grizzlies, who literally played 11 guys, and all of them played 20 minutes, including Jay Huff, who closed. Scottie Pippen, who was closing. I mean,
Ja Morant played 12 first half minutes.
And was amazing in 28 minutes. Yep. Amazing. But what could have been in 32, 33, 34, right? And we have, who was the other team we're looking for? Utah was a nightmare down the stretch of that game. They were subbing, and Phoenix, 11 guys in the first quarter. I mean, it is just something that we're going to have to monitor. I mean, especially with when you think about Phoenix, Kevin Durant, obviously back end of his career, Bradley Beal oft injured. On the injury report, by the way, he's probable, but this is the second game of the year, and Bradley Beal is already popping on the injury report. So it's just things that, is worth monitoring because, we just, maybe something we were hoping wouldn't, rear its head did. So just, we'll be more mindful for this slate and probably for the next week with how rotations are going to shake out.
Yeah. I'll pull up the board. We can go over some of the high game totals here for the slate, kind of pay attention to. Again, it may not matter if the rotations are going to go sideways on us here.
Right.
But for the Friday slate, taking a look, do we have any Charlotte or Atlanta's 230.5? That one could be a fun one. Atlanta's giving 5 at home. Milwaukee, Chicago's 231, but the Bucks are 9.5 favorites. 231.5, Utah, Golden State. Utah is a 2-point home underdog. And then Lakers, Phoenix. Lakers are giving 1.5. That's a 228.5. Those are the high lines of the day here. We do have Cleveland, Detroit, 10.5-point spread. Orlando, Brooklyn. Orlando's giving 11.5 after they just destroyed the Miami Heat on opening night. They're going to play slow, and they're going to play really good defense, and they'll probably knock Brooklyn out of that game early as well. Anything else here for you, notable-wise, in terms of matchups?
Knicks Pacers 227.5. That's fun. That was a fun playoff series last year. With some, injuries mixed in there, but that was fun.
Yeah, and hopefully the Knicks can stay in this so we can get full run for Knicks players here. All right, starting off at the point guard position, Trae Young down $200 from his last price. Played really well on opening night. Had 30 actual in that game, 12 assists, 37 minutes, all great stuff.
Yes.
$9,700 should be a fun matchup, as we talked about. High total. These two teams known to play, some high scoring games. So Trae Young is $9,700. John Morant, 95, Lillard, 94, LaMelo, as we expected, price bump. He was under 9K. It didn't last long because he broke the slate. 9,300, Maxey, 91, Halliburton, 9K. That's your 9K and above tier. If you had to break them down for us, which way are we going?
So I think there's a couple directions. Trae Young, I think 16 free throws in his debut. If that's going to be the guy that we get this year, Trae Young has a legitimate case to maybe lead the league in scoring, right? Just given what's there. And I think Jalen Johnson will obviously have better game scoring but no Bogdanovich in this game. So, less offense for Atlanta. Love Trae Young. I'm assuming we see like some type of progression for Ja. Probably 30 minutes is a safe number. So if you want to play Ja, I mean, even in the 28 minutes, 22, 10, 5, right? He had a fantastic game. But maybe he's at 28 minutes again. We just don't know. So I am good with Ja. I think the two next names are where Trae Young, Lillard, LaMelo Ball. Those are the three guys that I'm looking at mainly. Not to exclude Maxey. I think Maxey's fine as well. I think he's safe.
Good matchup for him.
It is. Dude, it is hard not to, again, and I'm going to harp on this till I'm blue in the face. And I said it opening night. This is going to be a different year for Damian Lillard, and I think the Bucks in general. 30 points, hit 6 threes, 9 and 6 in terms of rebounds and assists. 38 minutes, John. 38 minutes for Damian Lillard out of the gate. I think this is as long as Chris Middleton isn't there, they're going to lean on two players a lot this year. And Lillard is capable of scoring as many points as Giannis is on a nightly basis when his shot is falling. So I love Lillard in this spot against the Bulls. And obviously Ball had the best game of the young season so far. 2 rebounds shy of a triple-double, in which, 34 points. He was great. And this is going to be another very high-scoring game. No Brandon Miller in this one, so more shot attempts for LaMelo. So it's hard to get away from Trae, Lillard, and Ball for me, with Maxey as like a super safe play if that's where you end up.
I agree. I think the next tier, Jalen Brunson is where we probably want to take a look at. $8,600 against the Pacers.
Weird. That's weird.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, interesting price point for Jalen Brunson here. Just 86 for a guy that was $1,000 more expensive for the most of the game. He had 22 in 24 minutes against Boston. Again, throw that game out the window. But also, he did have 22 points in 24 minutes. Right. And he 9 of 14 shooting. I think this is a really good price for Jalen Brunson. I'm not, the matchup against the Pacers is fine. They're home. They're going to bounce back from that loss. They've had time to think about it. He's going to play 38 minutes, probably minimum in this one here. So I really like Brunson at $8,600. I guess McCollum now, right? With Zion is expected to play.
Yes.
In this one. But now there's, again, no DeJounte. That changes the dynamic. He's got to go back to playing point guard. That lasted one game. And I think there's a good spot for him there. What are your thoughts when we get into like this 8 and Kevin's 7K range?
Yeah, definitely the Brunson price stands out the most of anyone. And big peso spot for the Knicks. So obviously, like Brunson, I think Cade tournament play only against Cleveland. Cam Thomas had a monster first game, scoring the basketball like we know he can. That was you gave that shout when we were talking about Cam. Um, yeah, I mean McCollum is probably your point guard. We know that they're gonna probably go to Jose Alvarado a bunch too,
Sure.
or we'll see how much I should say. What did Alvarado play in that first game? He played only 12 minutes. Who played the most off the bench? Javante Green played the
So
most off their bench.
Murray played the whole
Uh,
game because his hand wasn't broken or was broken, but
was
he played.
broken. Uh,
So
so I guess here's something. Jordan Hawkins played 27 minutes in that game, John.
yeah,
You know, that is definitely something to consider. But even in that scenario, McCollum's probably your starting point guard. I'm good with it at $7,500. I think him and Zion both and Ingram. I mean, it's like the same team now as it was last year, right?
basically, yeah. No
So
Valanciunas.
no Valanciunas. So better for everyone else because Valanciunas is such a just in the way kind of player.
Yeah.
So like McCollum 75, quickly is doubtful. So we're probably not going to get that. We'll probably get Davion starting for him. We got him in this Davion starting in the second half. Van Vliet is fine at 7,300. Kobe White is fine at 72. Garland at 7K is pretty interesting. Didn't look great. Didn't have to look great when Evan Mobley looked the way that Evan Mobley looked and Donovan Mitchell looked the way Donovan Mitchell looked. Those two players were just better than every other player imaginable on the
Do you have
floor.
blowout concerns for this game?
Yes. Cleveland, I mean, if Evan Mobley is going to play that way, I have concerns for a lot of people that are going to play Cleveland, right? Because that team is just different. If Evan Mobley's that good offensively, that's a different team.
Yeah. They
So
beat the Celtics last year during the regular season. So I mean,
and without or with they beat him once in the playoffs. No, they lost. Donovan Mitchell, yeah, Donovan Mitchell had a game against them, right?
yeah, I think they went. I think the Celtics went 5 against them, but
Um, yes, nothing necessarily stands out except McCollum being there, just
sure.
given what we know about the
Giddy looked pretty good as his debut for the Bulls.
Yeah, I'm good with it. 14, 5, and 3, 30 minutes. That's about what I expect from Josh Giddey and what I expect from him in his role. It's hard, dude. The Bulls are a very hard team to predict because they just have so many guys.
Sure. Value-ish range under 6K. Some guys here. Karis LeVert had 19 actual in that game. D'Angelo Russell and Reeves. We talked about how the Lakers in their front court or back court rotation was going to play out. Ben Simmons looked pretty good in his run while he was on the floor. Filled out the stat sheet for Brooklyn. Definitely a tough matchup against Orlando, obviously. What are your thoughts on some value point guards here?
Ben Simmons did look great. That is a good shout. Yeah, I mean, Jaden Ivey, tough spot. Schroeder was fine at 6K, but tough spot. I'm gonna keep going Reeves over Russell, as you mentioned, and I think until Russell gives me any reason to play him, I'm gonna play Austin Reeves. Better eligibility, cheaper. Played 36 minutes. Again, he handled the ball more. Was one rebound shy of a double double. So, like Austin Reeves, there. Do like the Ben Simmons thing. 24 minutes, I think, is more than most people expected. I think he had stopped basically at 20 during the regular season. I kind of figured that would be where it would stop. It didn't. It kept going. 24 makes you believe that there's even more in the chamber there for Ben Simmons. So, yeah, man, 5,600. It's a tough spot, but a tough spot for what, right?
Right.
We don't want if Ben Simmons scores 20 points, he will win you a tournament. Because if at this point, what he did 6, 8, and 5 with a block, right? That's a pretty good line for Ben Simmons. And when there's more minutes to be had, the peripheral stats will be even better than that. So yeah, I think Simmons is good. Scoot came off the bench as we expected him to. Did play 28 minutes, was productive in that time. So if you want to play Scoot, that's fine. Tyus was good. 11 points, 8 assists, 2 rebounds. They did benefit from overtime. So there's that, but he's even cheaper than he was on the opening slate. And then, we show up to the value tier.
Yeah, I mean, Dyson Daniels, right? Started.
Is he going to be the most popular play on the slate? Because now no Bogdanovich again, so he'll
I think him,
for 30.
And if Hawkins enters the starting lineup, you'll see those two, like, because they're $4,600 and $4,400. But yeah, Daniel started 5 steals. He is a defensive first player. There's why when we had these conversations for last year with the Pelicans, it's like, well, who would you play, Daniels or Hawkins? Like, well, Hawkins is the offensive guy. Daniels is your defensive player. Well, we got 15, great. 5, 2, a block, and 5 steals.
Yeah, the 5 steals. The 5 steals is
so that's what his upside is here. And obviously, we know Charlotte. LaMelo Ball has definitely been turnover prone in his career. So I definitely don't mind getting to Daniels. You mentioned Alvarado. We'll see if maybe he starts instead of Hawkins. You'll certainly see some plays there. And then we have McBride. He came off the bench and he was just a missile.
Great. Yeah, he was great.
22 points. Now, some of that obviously came in blowout run because he was on the floor at the end of that game, but also he was on the floor a lot early too because he wasn't missing. And when they were getting blown out, he was basically the only offense they have. So the fact that his price didn't really get bumped all too much here, I think speaks some volumes as well. I like McBride a lot at 4,100.
Like McBride a lot. And I mean, Tibbs is he was running a relatively small rotation. He did play DDA for his 9th guy, but I'd expect that 9th guy to go away as the season progresses. And McBride's going to play mid-20s minutes with upside for more, right? I mean, mid-20s to, if he keeps, you had mentioned it, he was just outplaying Mikal Bridges, and they were just playing McBride over Bridges. So it was in the second quarter when that was happening, right? Because he was an absolute flamethrower in that second quarter.
Yeah, he subbed in for OG Anunoby in the first quarter. But he played 12 straight minutes, the end of the first into the first 7 minutes of the second quarter. So 12 straight minutes of McBride there. Brunson was not on the floor for a lot of that. There was a little overlap in the first quarter, but Brunson got subbed out 2 minutes to go in the first and didn't check back in until the 6-minute mark of the second. So we got a lot of McBride without Jalen Brunson on the floor, which is good news for McBride if that's the way their rotation's going to play. And then he checked back in at the end of the third quarter. Then, like I said, he was out there for a lot of the blowout run. Played the final 6 minutes of the third. Some of the starters were still involved there, but then he played the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter where most of the starters were already long gone there, which again helped him out. But he did a lot of his damage early. He had 14 points in the first and second quarter there. So, a lot of upside for this kid. We are kind of hyped on him going in, and he didn't do anything to disappoint.
Did not do anything to disappoint.
What do we do with Memphis guys here?
I mean, Pippen, he played really well.
That's what I'm saying. He had the minutes and he had the production for the most part.
He played 21 minutes, Scottie Pippen Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He had 27 DraftKings points. I mean, that is a sizable fantasy point per minute output. I don't expect that to continue, but also, it's obviously in the cards. You got to think though, we have no idea what the plan is for Memphis. No. We don't know what they're all right, we're going to take this amount of games to get it acclimated, right? And then we just don't know that. So it's hard to sit here and say, well, yeah, I want to play Scottie Pippen at 4K because he had 27 fantasy points. Well, his 21 minutes might be what? I mean, 17 next game if Ja plays 31. So I'm like, if you want to play it in a large field tournament, it's fine. But like for $300 less, I expect Cody Martin to start with Brandon Miller out, and I guess it depends on Josh Green's status because Josh Green could return here. But like, why would that? I guess like Josh Green coming back, they could just start Green and Cody Martin if Brandon Miller's
Green was
out, right?
They used Seth Curry in that game when
They
Brandon
started.
Miller
They started Curry in the second half. He was good too in the second half. Seth Curry. So like, I think that there's some like pretty good value for
shooting guard.
for just Cody Martin's point guard, small forward. So like that's a weird eligibility, but pretty good. Charlotte value in general.
Yeah, again, we like that Charlotte Atlanta matchup. Shooting guard position, again, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, dual positional eligibility. Desmond Baines, 8K. Cam Thomas is good. I don't really find myself looking to spend up here. I think we talked a lot of value that we're going to come across at the shooting guard position. Is there a spend up guy that you're like would consider a core play for you on this slate?
I mean, Mitchell's in a great spot and was good in 28 minutes, like really good in 28 minutes.
Sure.
Booker fouled out, right? He fouled out in that game. He was good in that one, not great. Probably not. Probably the first person I'd like really want to get to, we talked about McCollum, is probably Zach LaVine. You were spot on with your analysis of LaVine. And I think, coming off an injury, we weren't sure what the minutes were going to be. There was even talk like he would start on the bench.
Yeah.
37 minutes. There ain't no bench in Zach LaVine's name. 37 minutes off rip. He was great offensively. So 27, 5, and 3. 5 made threes at 7K against Milwaukee. They're going to, if that game's going to be competitive, they're going to need Zach LaVine to do that again, right? And they did that, and they weren't competitive for the fourth quarter against New Orleans. So I like LaVine. That would probably be the first one I get to.
Sure, I agree with you. See here, Mikal Bridges did pick it up a little bit in the second half of that game. Shot was very funky. He was like 0 for 5 to begin. Everybody's like, man, that shot is broken.
They really were harping on that a lot during the broadcast, right? Like they could not stop talking about.
Well, because he was missing.
He surely was.
I mean, Colin Sexton got off to a super hot start, and then like they just decided to not play him.
Utah. Utah, right? Yeah. It's like another crazy coach, Will Hardy, just plays off feel.
He literally said that. He's like, I'll figure it out as we go. I mean, but again, like he's gonna start.
Yep.
He did like play, but they just played so many guys that it kind of like threw things out of whack there a little bit. So, but I mean, he can score a lot in bunches in that there. So
he played 24 minutes.
I know
that dude.
He didn't really play a ton of minutes. I remember last year either, though. Wasn't he always kind of like 27, 28?
It was until that stretch, right? Yeah. Until that stretch where he just started going nuclear, and Will Hardy's like, well, like, I guess I have to play him now, right? Like,
yeah.
But like nothing like giving Patty Mills 16 minutes,
Yeah.
When definitely needed those. They definitely needed him to score 0 points in those 16 minutes, right?
Oh, you know what? They lost that game, and they lost that game by 2. Hopefully that's a wake-up call to play your good players. Clarkson got 25. Sexton got 24. I'm sure if you gave Sexton and Clarkson the split Patty Mills minutes, you win that game. So,
I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You can have vets on your team without actually playing them,
keep them on the bench as a coach, right?
Look at what Miami did with Haslam for 4 years, right? I mean,
right. Yeah, agreed.
Holy.
Again, difficult to really go what's going on with Memphis, Golden State. Wiggins did have 20 points. Yep. But they're going to play 12 guys. Hard to go there. Davion's going to start, but we've gone through that road so many times with him in Sacramento. It was never any good. Buddy Hield had a good game. Mathurin had a good game, but he came off the bench. Grady Dick I'd go back to, right? Like
Yes.
Take all the shots
He's great.
here against Philly.
Yeah, he was great. He took, 13 shots is great. Right out of the gate, 13 shots. Wasn't great peripherally. The two, I would say the two blocks definitely saved his stat line, but if that's the Grady Dick we're gonna get, where he's gonna take 13 shots, then he should be in consideration.
He may take more. No, Quickly, right? Quickly was playing for a little bit, so got him. I mean, I like Nembhard, but he took 2 shots in the second half of that game, so it's hard to.
Yeah.
When Turner and Siakam, Halliburton was like 0 for 10.
I know, he's terrible.
And he kept firing. So like, difficult to like go to Nembhard now at that spot. Pod barely played.
Didn't start.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolute nightmare.
So Toumani Camara started.
Toumani Camara did start. He did.
Okay.
What did Toumani Camara end up? I mean, they got
pasted. So
housed. 28 DraftKings points for Toumani Camara.
Yeah,
29 minutes.
They get a good game.
And he got taken out halfway through the fourth. He did not close.
11-4-2 steals for Toumani Camara there. So if he starts again, there's obviously options for you. Again, Jordan Hawkins, I think if he starts, really good spot for him against Portland at 44. Trey Mann, he had a night. It could be him, right? Instead of
He's a bucket. He's a bucket. They could definitely go to Trey Mann. He's an absolute. Him and Ball were the two reasons they won that game.
Yeah.
Ball man.
There you go.
Man ball.
24 points in 29 minutes against the Rockets. So, I mean, if he like the way he played, he definitely earned himself minutes, right? Like,
yeah, he was great.
So you got Trey Mann. So there's some good value at shooting guard here.
Yeah.
McBride's down here, as we talked about. Merrill did get run. Seth Curry's here. Merrill did get run. And if that game blows out, he'll get some playing time. Then Jalen Wilson. I know it's Orlando. But Jalen Wilson played 34 minutes in that game.
So many minutes. And like Claxton got thrown out, didn't start, but like Brooklyn also didn't run a very deep rotation. They kind of kept it. I think they played 9? They played 9 guys. So
Wilson subbed in for Schroeder at the 7-minute mark of the first quarter and played all the way through the first 4 minutes of the second quarter. So like he played 11 or 12 straight minutes, subbed out, then subbed back in 5-6 minute mark basically of the second quarter and finished the quarter. So a lot of minutes for Jalen Wilson in that game.
And closed over Ben Simmons. I guess that's going to be like the difference, right? Who closes? Is it Wilson over Simmons? Is it like, do they go back when Simmons is on the floor? Do they just, because they took Simmons out and put Schroeder back in the game? Do they not want those two to close together because they're both ball handlers? And maybe at that point they would go back to Jalen Wilson. But if Jalen Wilson's going to get anywhere close to 30 minutes, I do think that he's in play.
Yeah. 10 games slated under 4K, coming off 34 minutes and a productive 34 minutes too.
Productive. Yep. Very.
Now again, facing Atlanta, different than facing Orlando. So there's definitely that to consider as well. Dalton Connect, we go back.
Probably not on a 10-game slate.
Okay.
Probably
Small forward. LeBron, 89, under 9K LeBron against Phoenix.
It's a good price.
Brandon Ingram went nutty.
Yeah,
Zion is back though, so that changes some things. But got Portland at 79, Laurie 78, Franz Wagner 7K.
Yeah, I mean LeBron under 9K is interesting. Hard to do much when Anthony Davis did what he did, but 8,900 is a good price. Bane, Ingram for sure, even with Zion back. I mean, they're still going to, that whole team's going to funnel through 3 players. So Ingram's one of them. Markkanen was great in that game. He's just a very good scorer. 9 rebounds. We didn't play him. Guarantee if we play him on this slate, ooh, boy, I can't wait for 27 and 4 for 33 fantasy points with a couple turnovers in there. Mentioned Levine Franz is definitely in a good spot. I mean, he scored an actual point per minute in that game against the Heat. So, yeah, I mean, I like basically the latter half of that top.
Mhm.
I like basically everyone at Franz up, maybe
Sure.
with the exclusion of Desmond Bain, but no slight on Bain. Just 27 minutes is not the best.
Yeah, I agree. Denny looked good. I was big on Denny going into that game. $6,600 for him. Again, how competitive will Portland be this year? They have like name value talent to be competitive, but they got knocked around in that game against Golden
Yeah.
State. Kuminga got in foul trouble, barely played, and of course Kerr hates him, so I'm not going to even bother at this point. Oubre, 62, pretty interesting here against Toronto.
Yes, he was really good. He was really good in that game. 21 actual in a game they got housed, and he played just 30 minutes. I think there's opportunity for even more. No Paul George, no Embiid. So yeah, I'm in on Oubre for sure.
Yep. If we think there's obviously just a minutes correction for everybody. Hart's 57 and Anobi is 54. The Josh Hart, I'm not going to shoot thing didn't last very long. He was
fine.
taking shots. He's driving to the rim.
Yeah, he was fine.
There's there. What else do we like down here? Rui?
Kanko, Eason. Yeah, Rui was good. Rui was really good in that game. No Jared Vanderbilt. It's going to be the same rotation. I would say like 18 points is a bit of an outlier for Rui Hachimura. He's the second leading scorer for that team. That's a bit of an outlier. So, he's fine. I'm not expecting him to like break slates regularly. You mentioned Kamara. I'd be interested to see, Ricochet without Bogdan. We'll see, but he wasn't great in his debut, obviously. We'll see about Josh Green. If he was the projected starter coming into the year. So we'll see if he enters the starting lineup for Charlotte. I think he's okay. Taurean Prince, we missed him, John. We missed opening night, Taurean Prince. Now we can never play him again.
I called it out. I did mention it to you.
16, 5, and 3, made 4 threes because, of course, he did on opening night. Prince. But
I mean, if everybody's going to collapse on Lillard and Giannis,
Yeah.
his job is to stand in that corner, right? Hit the corner.
yeah, I mean, dude, he started and played 30 minutes. He's super cheap, so I would be perfectly fine with it.
Yep. Let's see. Anything else down here? Not really. Where's the other Martin? Is he power forward only?
Caleb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Power forward we go then. Power forward Giannis is 11-1 against Chicago. Scotty Barnes 88. Banchero 87 had a big day. Durant did not. He's 84. Still a good price tag for Kevin Durant. Just did not do anything in that game. Siakam was a monster. He's 83. And we got Zion here at 8,100.
Like it all. Love Giannis. He's going to smash everybody every game. Scotty Barnes is definitely going to bounce back from the game that he had. That was awful. But, Toronto was awful. But when they're not going to be awful when Scotty Barnes isn't awful. They'll just be less bad. A
more competitive game here for Toronto, maybe
for sure.
in Philadelphia. So.
Hopefully. I agree on Banchero was great. Nothing bad to say. That was like the highest scoring first quarter of the slate. I was like, oh my God, this game's going to have 700 points, and we just poo-pooed it the whole time. Durant, great price. You mentioned Siakam is going to be a monster this year with a full off season with the team. It is very hard to ignore Zion at 81. And it was just an illness. I mean, there's just no way that we're going to get like this limited Zion because of an illness. If he is healthy, he was practicing today. We're obviously recording on Thursday night, but he's practicing. There's just no way he's going to be limited because of an illness. So as long as we get like word that he's starting and whatnot, I mean, it's a great price.
Yeah, no arguments here. I definitely like the Zion play. Again, Laurie's there. Mobley had a huge game. Can we rely on it back-to-back games in Detroit? I mean, I think we'd rather play the two guys below who are going to be playing in the same game with Jalen Johnson and Miles Bridges here. 77 and then 72 for Bridges. Both those guys obviously in great spots. Their rotations are now down key pieces. Just kind of opens up opportunities for both to be productive.
Yeah, and like I am just willing to go right back to the well with like Jalen Johnson. It's not something that I'm scared off by, like don't be scared of him just not shooting or not shooting a lot, 9 shot attempts and 3 for 8 from the line. I mean, he's just better than that overall. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
not scared. I'm not scared of 9 shot attempts. I know that's going to correct itself over time.
And Aganku is so on fire that it was like, he can't shoot when another guy isn't missing, right? So that's just the way it's. And hey, it's Charlotte. Aganku could very easily also just have a monster game in this one too. So, but I do like both of those plays here.
Agreed.
Anybody else for you in the 6K range?
I mean, Jeremy Grant, we know has a ceiling. No, not in the 6K range. I think Bobby Poe is a little bit interesting against the Bulls. Cam Johnson, 56 is fine. Okongwu is 54. It's just very, I mean, dude, 28 and 8 off the bench.
We knew he was a stud, though. We've been talking about it since last year.
I know. And he obviously is going to, like, they're going to have no choice but to, like, start him eventually, right? Or just, like, they're just not going to have a choice. He's just been too good. He is just too good. Yeah. And they might just make it easier on themselves by trading Capella to just, but
I tweeted that out. I was like, I know it's one game in, but the Hawks have to trade Capella here to get Aganku. Like, there's going to be matchups where Capella is going to be needed more, and Capella is going to continue to start for them. And Capella could even have a really good game here against Charlotte in the minutes that he's on the floor because it's Charlotte and they're so bad against opposing centers. But like Aganku is also going to come on there and just be a massive usage beast.
Yes, on both of those fronts.
So, I'm sort of upset that he's actually $5,400.
I know.
5x there, we get 27 fantasy points. You could easily do that.
Yeah.
Aldama, do you go back to the Aldama? Well, he's the only one that played over 30 minutes, and guy had 28 and 11 or something like that. What was this?
27, 5, 2. But still, he was extremely low owned for 27, 5, and 2. He was by far the best Memphis play of the slate.
Yeah.
And yes, the answer is probably yes.
Okay.
My only concern in general is like Memphis minutes, but he's the one, like you said, that played. So we shouldn't, with Jaren Jackson doubtful, we shouldn't worry.
Well, it wasn't Brandon Clark night, I'll tell you that much.
It was not Brandon Clark.
Caleb Martin, rather, listed as probable. Didn't start. We talked about this. Didn't start the first half. It started the second half over KJ Martin.
37 minutes.
Yeah. You were dead on nails accurate there. You were like, I am playing Caleb Martin. I don't care what KJ Martin. I was like, I think I'll lean on the starter. Well, that was a mistake. That was the wrong play.
Well, like,
you had it.
I just don't think, like, the comments suggested that, like, even though he was starting KJ Martin, the comments were like, well, regardless of who's starting, this is like it's a filler play more than it's like this. I'm definitively playing this guy, right? Yeah. So that was the only, and again, they signed Caleb Martin as opposed to like they had traded for KJ Martin and like kind of not on like this like big long-term deal. So I still think, I mean, with the way that it's shaking out with how many injuries they have, if he's going to play 37 minutes, I mean, he should be at least a consideration for us.
No, 100%. In a matchup against Toronto too. I mean, what does Toronto even have left after they lose quickly? Right now, they have to move Davion into the starting lineup. Like, there's not much left on that roster. Yeah. Yanni Hunter could see more minutes with Bogdan out. I know it's not like the same 1-to-1 position eligibility swap, but just rotation wise in general. Grant Williams played 25 minutes off the bench for Charlotte. Could see him at $4,400. Had an okay day for price wise and what he can do. He averaged like 14 points a game for them after he got traded there last year. So like he was okay. for Charlotte. Agbaji might start.
Yeah, he started in the first game.
Yeah, started again, right?
Yeah, with no Barrett, he'll start again.
Yeah. Clowney was the backup. So now they didn't start Claxton. Remember, he was on a minutes limit and they didn't start him, but they started Ben Simmons as like the 5 in that one. But then they brought Clowney and Claxton I think in together, right? Wasn't like that? Clowney came in before Claxton actually, but he did only play the final 6 minutes of the first quarter and then didn't play again until the final 6 minutes of the third. So maybe no on the Clown Dog there.
The Clown Dog. That's what we're calling him. I like that.
Just feeling it out, trying to get responses. You never know. Dorian Finney-Smith played a whole lot of minutes.
Dorian Finney-Smith can keep playing a whole lot of minutes. I mean, I'm shocked. 26 fantasy points is not, honestly, better than I would have anticipated it being. But, yeah, what do we think? Yabusele is 4K. He's not free anymore.
Nope.
But he was, the highest rostered player of the slate.
Yeah.
Fouled out. One of them fouled out. It was a machine gun with everything he was doing. I mean, he came in first second he was in the game. He made a 3. He played well. He also played a lot. His first shift was the first 6 minutes of the final 6 minutes of the first quarter into the first 3 minutes and change into the second. So 9 minutes. He also then closed the first half for 3 minutes. So he played 12. If you can project Yabusele to play 24 minutes, dude,
he might have closed that game if he didn't foul out.
Might have closed the game. But I'm just saying, even if it is where you average him out based on his he's just playing 24 minutes, right? Or whatever. He might, like you said, I mean, KJ Martin never came back in the game after the third quarter.
Right.
If it's 24 to 26 minutes, he is firmly in play, even at 4,000 compared to the 3,000 price tag he was, because he's just a good fantasy player.
Yeah. No, I know. Pretty crazy. Try to see what his usage. Do you have his usage rate?
His usage rate was 20.8%.
Interesting.
20.8. So, 21% usage rate for Gershon Yabusele.
It's not bad. It's not great. But it's not terrible.
That's good. 21% for a backup 4? That's great.
Yeah. All right. So let's go on over to the center position. Got AD at 10-1. Şengün broke the slate.
Wait. What? You didn't want to talk about Jabari Walker?
No, 4 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Shoot.
4 minutes. 4 minutes, Jabari Walker.
Shoot.
Can't always get him right.
I'm just kidding.
I
know.
Can only trust the data that's put in front of you.
Sure.
Even when it's way wrong. That was a tough one. Didn't play him, thankfully, but I apologize to those who did. Again, we can only look at the ownership that was out there. It's early season projections. They're rough. Again, AD, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Şengün going up against a rookie center in Edey who fouled out real quick.
Yep. Already fouled out once, got to foul out twice.
Towns now hopefully playing 35 at 8K.
Yep.
Really good price.
Really good spot.
Really good matchup.
Yep.
So yeah, those are your top 3 centers. I don't have a reason not to play any of them. Do you have is it Şengün? Is Şengün the play here? What's your...
Well, I mean, AD is, if you can get there, AD's the play.
Okay.
Didn't take as many threes as we'd hoped.
Nope.
But it didn't matter. He took 3, and he took 23 shots and 15 free throws, right? So AD's the play if you can get there. Şengün is number 2. Those would be my top two centers, like with a bullet. Want to prioritize those two names.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think again Towns is gonna have days.
Yes.
That price tag is really
agreed.
good.
I agree. I'm not trying to exclude Towns. I just prefer the other two. But if you have the savings to go to Towns, for sure, I'm in.
And then we have Drummond at $6,800.
He ended up being super low owned, by the way. Not that he was anything great. The foul trouble obviously killed him. He only ended up playing 25 minutes because he was just in massive foul trouble.
I don't think he gets in foul trouble against Toronto, though.
He's Andre Drummond. There's always a chance he gets in foul trouble. Scotty Barnes is going to be attacking the rim constantly, and he can foul Scotty Barnes as many times as anyone can. Yeah. I don't think he should. But I'm never going to put it past him.
He's just not dealing with Giannis this time, right?
He's not. He's not. But Scotty Barnes is also very good at basketball. So I like Andre Drummond. It's
a good price.
Yeah, I like him quite a bit. Him and Miles Turner.
Miles Turner had a stretch where he did not. He just was unconscious.
The whole second half, he was amazing.
Yeah.
They asked him about it. He went on the radio and on like NBA TV, and they asked him, and he said, "Well, I'm a beast at basketball. Like, Miles? What got into you the second? I'm good at basketball. Like, I don't know. What do you mean?"
They've tried trading him for 6 years.
6 years, yeah, and then
nobody wants him.
Extended him, and then extended him.
Yeah, because nobody wanted him.
36 minutes, by the way, for Miles Turner.
They don't really have a backup five, so.
Is Jackson
you know why? We didn't even talk about him. He's probably power forward center eligible. Where's Jalen Smith down here?
Jalen Smith is not on the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. We didn't talk about him though.
Oh yeah. He was really good in Jalen Smith.
Exactly what Jalen Smith does.
He played the Jalen Smith game for sure.
So he's at Milwaukee here at 4K. If you wanted to take a shot at some tournament plays there. Nick Richards, 48. He was fine by the end of the day.
Yeah, he was $4,000, right? You did exactly what you needed him to do at $4,000. He better. Look, if he's not that good, you never know what Will Hardy's going to do. You just don't, because he was that good and still just got to 30 minutes, just eked out 30. But boy, oh boy, he was good.
Yeah.
If he's going to block shots like that, forget it. I mean, he's going
to contender to lead the league in block shots. Obviously, it's like him and Wemby. Yep. And Golden State's going to throw 9 different guys at him because they're going to do their rotation thing there. So, Trace Jackson Davis did start in that game. Zion's back. What do we think goes on with Messi here?
He is good. That kid is good. I mean, I think he's probably the better option than Tice. First round pick, super active basketball player, like so active. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I think Daniel Tice is not long for that job. So it's hard to really predict what's going to happen with their front court, just with all like the preseason projections saying that Herb Jones is going to start at center, right? And then Zion's your power forward. So it's like, well, like that was before obviously the Murray injury, and now they, you don't know what their lineup's going to look like. But also, if they trade Ingram, like there's so many variables at play, but Messi is their best option if they want a like center, like a traditional center.
Agreed. Anybody else?
I don't think so.
You get anything from Klingen here?
Klingen.
They got blown out, so
they did get absolutely torched. Where's 140?
Yeah, he played 13 minutes. Nothing crazy.
13 minutes, 8 fantasy points. I mean, the Trailblazers still played their starters like all 30 plus minutes. Scoot was the only one off the bench that played any minutes. So it looks like Portland's just going to run a very heavy, like their lineup is just going to be.
Yeah, Kamara was actually the only starter to close the game. So
No, he didn't even close. He came out halfway through.
Right.
He
Oh,
came out
yeah,
halfway through the
yeah.
fourth.
Yeah.
So, which is a good thing for Kamara. I mean, well, that's a lot of minutes for Tumani Kamara.
Yeah, I was looking at Scoot's minutes. So
Yeah.
Scoot closed the final 7 minutes of that game. So, all right, let's build here. We talked a lot of value like shooting guards.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's just a lot of value on this slate.
Plug McBride, right?
We can.
Well, what point guards do you want to use? I guess is the question.
I mean, I think between Trey, Dame, and Ball, those would be the three that I'm like. LaMelo's going to be the most popular, right? We just get that out of the way. He had the highest score. People saw it on Wednesday. They see the matchup. They're going to be like, "Oh, I'm just going to plug Ball."
Yep.
I think Lillard is an elite pivot. I think Trey was amazing in that first game. But I would play LaMelo. He doesn't have Brandon Miller on his team.
No, I hear you.
But I just think he's going to be the most popular. He's the cheapest of the three, and
not knowing like what to do with this group here is like
Dyson Daniels.
Yeah, you got double stack Trey and Daniels here. I mean, you can't, obviously, it doesn't really matter. But I also know we liked like a Gunku, we liked Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, I know.
Well, if we didn't play Trey then, and we did Ball here.
Yeah.
Right, it kind of evens it out a little bit more. Small forward. Let's see.
This could be another value spot. Yeah, Grady Dick's fine.
Power forward. Yeah, obviously had some good prices on guys like Durant, Siakam, Zion. Well, we think we just plugged in Zion there, didn't we?
Yeah.
So 5,700. Did we want to try to fit? I mean, we already have two kind of high price guys. So I didn't know if we could get 80 would be 43. We'd need a couple of cheaps. Like Yabusele would definitely fit an AD Zion LaMelo build.
Yeah, we'd probably go like a cheap Charlotte guy.
Go Towns here. 8K. Yeah. Give you 5K a play. That way you go Yabu.
Man, I want to get the Şengün.
You want to get the Şengün? We can get the Şengün here.
Like, I'm not against Towns. Like, I think I would play Şengün over Zion if we had to prioritize one, but it doesn't look like we need to either.
$5,300 guard if we played Cody Martin there.
Tyus? Is that Tyus? Probably Tyus Jones, I think.
Yeah.
No, he's 53, right?
Yep. Tyus is 53. And again, like this will change once we figure out who's starting. Like a Hawkins, man, like we'll play Alvarado. Like we probably play those guys if we knew who was going to be in the lineup. Yep. So example lineup, right? Ball, Daniels, Dick, Williamson, Şengün, Jones, Yabusele, and Martin. James will have your playbook. We'll be back live at 5 p.m. To break it all down, hopefully with some more news on who's going to be in and out. Some better ideas on some lineup builds for all of you. Make sure you bring your questions, get them in the chat. If you're not already yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, you see right up there at the corner of the screen, get the 7-day free trial and check us out. We appreciate all your support. Hit that like, that subscribe, that share button. It's a free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. Until then, everybody get in that Discord, get us on Twitter. We'll catch you later.